Welcome, George, Jen, Christy, and Vino. So,
Hi.
Hello.
hello. Great. Um, I would love to start with a short meditation together, and then it also gives some people a chance to join a little bit after. So we're gonna go for about 5 minutes. And first, I invite you to just check out the room around you. Check out the space. To kind of just arrive in where you are sitting, to arrive in the viewpoint that you have now. Maybe you were kind of rushing and then organizing things and just sat down. So kind of just take a moment to, without starting to meditate formally, just to arrive in the physical space. Arrive in seeing really the reality around you, seeing the table, the texture on the table, the light, arriving in the, seeing the floor and the walls. And the same thing with the body. So to feel the body, and you don't have to be in stillness yet, but maybe even to kind of touch and to actually recognize there is a body. You can touch the feet, the legs, the pelvis, the belly, the head. You're like, okay, I am here. I am here. This is me. Here's my body. And it's kind of like a comforting touch. A comforting touch for your own body. Okay, and then into stillness. And we're gonna actually meditate with eyes open. But the invitation is to not look at the screen. So just notice the experience of seeing without going into what you're seeing, but just notice there is an experience of seeing, a kind of wide space of this is the feeling of seeing. And similarly, there is a feeling of hearing things. The different sounds appearing, but there's a feeling of hearing at your ear. And there's also the experience of feeling, of sensation of the body. Not so important what exactly is the sensation. You don't have to try and identify or name them. Just to notice that there is an experience of feeling your body. Something which is different than seeing your body. And there's also, of course, the experience of thinking. So for those who are just joining, we are just meditating together for a few minutes. There is the experience of different thoughts coming into your head, probably. Maybe they are around the space of your head area. Maybe they are more around your ear, or if they are auditory thoughts, or maybe around your forehead, if they are more like visual, if you can imagine things or remember things. Maybe your thoughts are more like feelings in the body, like contracted feelings, expanded feelings, urgent feelings, relaxed feelings. Here's your entire sensory experience. This kind of space in which different phenomena are appearing. And just to notice whatever the mind goes to. And seeing if we can just relax and to keep letting go of whatever the mind goes to. Whether it's a sound or a sensation or a sight or a thought. Like the mind goes out and holds onto it. And we just remember to let go. To be in stillness. Okay. And to finish the meditation, I want to make one gesture together. I would like to start with our hands close to our heart. However you want to do that, whether it's in prayer or kind of like cupping or clasping the hands over the heart. And feel more inward. Feel more your body is kind of small. Your chest is inward, your shoulders are forward. So kind of a more protective, almost protective posture. And feeling the heart. And then we're going to slowly start to open the hand, to open and expand the chest slowly, slowly. Take your time to start to feel warmth in the hands and feel and bring in expansion. Slowly bring in expansion of the hands, of the chest, of the sternum, of the heart. And kind of transforms into offering, a gesture of offering and opening the heart. And whenever you've arrived somewhere where you feel this is good for me, you can just stay there and breathe for 2, 3 breaths. And then to relax the hand. Thank you. Hmm. So I want to open the space for questions, but before that, I just want to say that to in this kind of sharing, in this group sharing or these group questions, I'm going to ask you to, when you share, especially when you do it verbally through the microphone, to try and share your experience and what happened in your meditation and kind of what is your question or what is your what are you offering to the group, whether you want a reflection, and to see if you can be concise with it. So not to kind of go into story about a lot of details. Oh, when I went there and I went to the grocery and then this lady was wearing like this and then I crossed the street and then there was three people, and maybe to cut it to really what is the necessary information um for the for whatever you're asking or wanting to know or bringing. And it's okay if it happens, but I will let's say I will like interject and interrupt you if this happens. So there's also a practice of mindful speaking, how we're using our words. Um, but apart from that, there's really anything is welcome here and honest sharing. There's no stupid questions. Um, yeah. And I would like to just hear from everyone, maybe in the chat, so we just get a general sense of where everyone's at. To put a metaphor again for your meditations, a nature-related metaphor, um, for how you feel about meditation right now or today, let's say. Whether it's a gloomy, rainy day like it is here in Thailand today, or sunny blue sky, or whether it's mossy, damp, moist, dark tree area. However it feels today for you, whether it's weather or nature related. Today I feel like a thick, gentle, quiet blanket of fog obscuring a forest I know really well. Very tired but still curious. Forest with a thick canopy. I feel like I'm trying to find my way around and see whether it's clear blue sky or cloudy. When I did my walking meditation, it felt more cloudy. When I did sitting, it felt more like the sky. Today I felt like a strong trunk of a tree within my meditation. Hmm. Feels like how the weather was here today in California, Berkeley. Gray, sometimes pouring rain in very inconvenient and annoying way, random and unclear what the point is except inconvenient. Great, great. Okay, and now one more group invitation, and then we can go into sharing. To embody, let's say, your current attitude, or what attitude you would like to have for the rest of the course. So there's 5 days left. So to show me with your body, just similarly to how we did the gesture, how you would like your meditations, or what you would like to embody in your meditations, for the rest. So maybe it's motivation, or maybe it's more a heart quality, or maybe more a service, however you, whatever you can think of. I will do it too, what I would like to do. And to feel the posture that you are taking, to feel that there's really a direct association, a feeling of this posture. Hey, thank you for joining some playful exploration. The space is open. You have sharings, questions. I might not give answers, I might give more questions.
Yeah, so I can start
Mm-hmm.
maybe. So first of all, my hand was on my heart, but then the lower hand was on my lower belly, because what I want to say is I want to remain grounded and also heart centered in this.
Mm.
But my comment about the rain and all of that was that what I noticed over the past 2 days was that my attitude had really changed. Like I started the week really firm in my commitment, and an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, no problem. And then it was like I just started acting out, like, okay, well, I'm only going to do 45 minutes. Yesterday, I'm traveling, right? So I was on a plane and a lot of stuff, but I was just like rebelling, not wanting to, after not wanting to look at the clock for days, wanting to look at the timer, it just felt like I lost the, oh, the resolve, maybe the
Mm.
clarity of why I wanted to do it. I wanted to
Mm.
do it, and I started out strong, and then I just felt like, I don't know. I don't know what the point of this is. It feels like acting out, though, you know?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. Um, so what I tend to notice in myself, also in students, it's like it's important how we use discipline or commitment. And usually if we use discipline and commitment in a more effortful and kind of like rigid and forcing ourselves a little bit, there tends to be a bounce back. There tends to be like we can hold it for a little bit, and then there's like a rejection and like a rebellion in the mind against it. Um, and it sounds like this is a little bit what happened. And it's okay, it's completely normal and part of the learning to see that. And I guess the question for you would be how to have this commitment without, or taking away some of this, let's say, tension or forcing that in it.
And I guess there's also a letting go of the outcome because I find there's a voice that's sort of saying like, what are you even going to get out of this? Like, is there any guarantee you're spending 2 hours a day doing this, which it's not pleasurable for me, you know, but so I think I have to let go, just do it without thinking about why.
Yeah, yeah, the looking for the outcome, and it's normal. It's how we live the life, and
Mhm.
I would invite you to. I mean, for sure, you can evaluate and see how it's going. You don't have to do it like blindly for the rest of your life, um, and to allow yourself the space for these 10 days to kind of trust and go in, and yeah, see how to let go more when that thing comes of like, oh, when is the outcome? Just treating it as a thought, as a distraction. And then always in the end of the 10 days, you can kind of like, okay, was this useful? What's not? And yeah. So otherwise, it stays a little bit. And like if we use the meditation, then I'm sure you notice, but if we use it in to just think and to think about the outcome, then it won't have the same impact. Like we are like trying to ride a bicycle and we just kind of always stop and get off and think about where to go instead of kind of continuing to ride. Mm. You can label it also as doubt. So when it comes up as doubt or um, expecting or to kind of notice that as the thing that comes and goes. Yeah, there was a few questions from the note. I keep my hand on my stomach and notice the rising and falling. It helps me in noticing. Without the hand on my stomach, I struggle to notice rising and falling. Okay. So this is a help you can use. You have the hand on the stomach. Maybe something that would help is that it doesn't have to be strict rising and falling of the belly, but it can also maybe feel like now if you connect to your breathing, more like can be more like expansion contraction down there in the belly area. We're actually kind of working to attend to the diaphragm, the movement of the diaphragm, and how it relaxes with the exhale, and there's a little bit of contraction in it with the inhale. And so actually any breath related sensation that is here in the belly area is fine. Doesn't have to be just the rising and falling of the kind of outer belly area. After food, how long should we wait to do the meditation? There are no rules. And you can see for yourself how is it to meditate straight after food? Is it what kind of body and mind state does it create? And to observe that, to see and learn how it impacts you. And of course, not all food is equal. And I mean, if you're eating a lot and a lot of greasy, oily food, it will feel very different than if you're eating something more light. But in general, I would say to have a bit of space because otherwise there tends to be like a digestive sleep during your meditation. Um, but actually, that's why walking meditation is also good because you can do it actually straight after eating. Walking meditation is more energizing and it will help the digestion. Is it okay to work out immediately after meditation or work out first and immediately do meditation next? Um, this is up to you. For me, in my morning, I do meditation first and then I go into my movement practice. Mm, if we work out or move first and then go into meditation, it will tend to create a more concentrated meditation because there's more activity and kind of joy in the body from the movement and to sit with that. But to also not be dependent on this kind of activation or joy because we want to be able to use or we're practicing to use awareness and meditation in any situation. So if you're only doing it always after you do your yoga and it feels good to do it, then it's going to be very difficult for you to apply when you're at work and you didn't do your yoga and you need actually for a moment of regulation and awareness. But you kind of don't have these pleasant feelings of just having done half an hour of yoga. And so we're practicing really to always be able um, to switch it on. So
Um,
yeah,
I have a few
so,
questions, if that's okay. So, I had like two or three or maybe four questions, and I can get directly to them, so I don't speak too much. The first one is about labels, and I watched the video you sent about that as well, but sometimes it's easier to give a specific label rather than just a general label. So, like if I have an itch somewhere, to think itch rather than feeling.
mm,
And I don't know if that's just one example. I don't know because the my understanding was we should not, or if I hear a sound and I know what the sound is, I've gotten better at just saying sound or hearing.
mm,
Um, but the mind obviously knows immediately what it is. So that's one question. Then the second question has to do with for the Vipassana method, like labeling fleeting versus lingering meditation. So you label something and then you're supposed to move on to the next thing. But if it's like if it's a sound, it's very easy because it's something that goes away. But
mm,
if it's again, let's say it's an itch on my
mm,
shoulder
mm,
and it stays there, like
mm,
should I keep relabeling it every few seconds or you just label it once, you've labeled it, you let it go, and then maybe come back to it later.
mm,
Um, and then again on this thing of like the fleeting aspect of sensations, or whatever, you said in one of the videos, it's about kind of soaking it up. And I
mm,
find it difficult to understand what that means when it's something that's so fleeting, like it's a sound. And by the time I've even labeled it, it's gone. And it's just like, now I have to move on to the next thing and like label something else or like,
mm.
experiencing what's happening in the right, like here and now. So yeah, I guess those would be my questions. In terms of like the breath, I usually like I also don't feel it in the stomach. I focus more on the chest. I don't know if that's okay. Like I do rising and falling of the chest because I feel it more like here. Yeah. Thanks.
I think that was a very efficient going through all your questions. Um, okay, on the topic of labels. So how granular to make the labels depends really what is the phenomena and what is also your skill or speed of noticing it. So if it helps you in the moment to just itch, to label itch to a quick recognition itch, and then that's you can clearly observe the sensation of the itch, then that's a good label to use. But if it's like you feel something and then you kind of like look at it and you examine it and you think about it, okay, is it this or that? And then you arrive at labeling it itch, then it is too much. You need to uh, try to use as little extra thinking as possible to label things. So definitely some granularity. Sometimes it's helpful to distinguish. If I just keep saying feeling, 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 it maybe just feels like a repetitive mantra, and I don't really try to feel what is really there. So the label is there to help you to instantaneously feel what is really there. And however you want to use the label for that is up to you. With the distinguishing the hearing from the object that is being heard, like for example now it's raining, so I can say rain or hearing. There is a difference in the experience of feeling that initial vibration of hearing in my ear versus already jumping out towards the identification of the source of the sound. It's like the mind is already categorizing it and going to what it is. But we're practicing also to stay more with the direct experience before concept that's put on top. So, and this applies also to sensation. So even when you say itch, it's also to make sure that you are trying to attend to the direct sensation of it, so that it's not labeling like, it's just another itch or just another hearing of rain, but you're really momentarily trying to feel the fresh experience of hearing rain, of each sensation, of the rising, of the falling. And it will also happen that your labels will change over time. So they can become more, it can shift over time as your awareness gets more quick, more sharp, they will shift. What seems like, for example, I remember I used to meditate on sometimes actually after eating, there would be this full belly feeling. Okay, and I just labeled it full belly. But then recognizing that full belly is too big of a thing, and actually there's many things going on there. There's like sensation, there's feeling, there's a kind of pressure feeling there, there's the contracted feeling there. There's also the mental layer of disliking that feeling, which is hidden there. And if we just keep staying with the bigger thing of this is full belly, this is full belly, we don't try to look at really what is happening. And this also relates to fleeting or lingering things. And it will, yeah, of course, it's always different. And it's nice that you're able to tell the difference there. With things which are lingering, just notice that your experience of those things is fleeting. Like as soon as, so you are staying open in your meditation, and you might have this continuous pain, let's say, in your shoulder. But your experience of this pain is not stable and constant. It is like, oh, there's a moment of pain. Then you have a thought about the pain. Then your mind jumps towards hearing something, and it happens very quickly. And to not miss what else is happening, so not to kind of get absorbed in just one thing, but also you can come back to it. So if you feel like, oh, and now it again is more prominent in my experience, then okay, pain, hearing, and say, oh, pain, oh, thinking about the pain, and feeling sitting. And so to let it go momentarily, but then if it kind of reappears a few seconds later, yes, you can go back. But not to just be like pain, 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 pain.
Or with that, continuing on that thought of that pain, do you try to stay still through that? And then if it go like avoiding fidgeting from it, because if you have a pain in your shoulder, you could probably adjust and make it go away.
Yeah, yeah. not like a strict rule that, like what we talked about discipline before. If you have to force a lot to hold the stillness, then better to have a more relaxed kind of attitude. But if you can be still and relax and to observe it and to kind of just notice the urge to fidget or to move arising and coming and going, that's a good practice if you can do that. Then soaking, the question about soaking into experiences. Yeah, the technique of soaking into things is a little bit, it's easier, of course, to soak into something that is more lingering. And when it's more fleeting, it's more difficult. Like you can, because it's so momentary, the experience. Like say, yeah, your example, just a sound. And by soaking, I mean this thing about really deep, really experiencing what is there directly, the real sensation or feeling of the hearing, of the thought, of the sensation, of the sight, to really momentarily, deeply soak into it and experience it. Another word would be like to pierce it, to penetrate it, to yeah, like if it's like a sponge, you kind of soak the water of your awareness as water and kind of momentarily soaks into it. But of course, if it's very quick, then you won't be able to do that. But as your skill progresses, you can do it much quicker. And so it's a training of being able to directly experience phenomena as sensations, and not the story about it, but to try and really contact the experience of whatever it is. So you don't have to do it all the time. It's just also something you can play with. What if I try to soak more? It's like also, if I label more slowly, if I just do one thing every few seconds and really try to soak into that one thing for those few seconds. Of course, there's many things happening, but okay, I choose just the feeling of sitting for just 2 or 3 seconds. This is sitting. And you really soak into the sensation of sitting. Okay, then next thing, this is hearing. And for a few seconds, there's a deep concentration on just that phenomenon. And then you let it go. But then it can also be faster. Sitting, hearing. On the chest versus belly, you can so if you're more with the belly, it will tend to have more like a grounding impact also on the body. It's more the center of the body. If you're meditating with the sensation in the belly, it tends to have a more grounding, energetic feel, more grounding anchor. So, but if you feel chest is working for you, that's also okay. I think I'm not, yeah, it's not so strict with that. Actually, any part of the body is okay. Or the whole body, or the whole body. Jen or Christy, is there something from you before we get to
I just want to say thanks for all the really thoughtful, careful guidance that you offer to us in the recordings. And I feel like I'm a very slow processor of things. It really takes me quite a long time to even figure out what kind of questions I want to ask about something. But I also have, like George had mentioned, that question about the soaking in, that balance between the quickness of passing sensations and the I just can't quite reconcile the words a deep anything with such a quick where you're moving on to the next thing. My experience of bringing anything into my awareness and body and mind with depth tends to take me kind of a good chunk of time. And so being kind of new to this, it really feels like I get hung up on it, is what I'm saying. Like I get really stuck on, I don't understand how to, it doesn't make sense to me, this paradox of deep anything soaking and the quickness. I understand it conceptually. I get it in that way, but I haven't yet been able to capture it, except maybe like these fleeting little moments today, and which is funny because I'm really, really tired today and had kind of overstimulation of emotional things, but I'm super tired. But yeah, so anyway, I think that's my biggest challenge right now, is kind of being with that and exploring the paradox that I feel between the deep soaking and the quickness of passing and the labeling. Honestly, sometimes for me, the language of language for me is so in my mind. It's like a mental mind thing, that the labeling and the language sometimes, I think for me, interferes with the deep experiencing in the body of it. So and none of these are like, they don't throw me off the track or anything. I'm just finding them very interesting and like compelling and worth exploring.
The feelings, you mean, or the language?
The experience of, I find it really interesting, my experience of being kind of at times hindered by the labeling and the language, which is so in my mind, that it takes me out of experiencing whatever is actually happening. Like to say
Yes.
hearing, then I'm so focused actually for that moment on the label hearing that I'm not experiencing hearing. Whereas if I just shut my brain off of the labeling, I just shut up, so to speak, I can be like, I can just feel. So I don't know if that's not really a question. That's kind of a just a challenge that I'm experiencing, and I find it interesting.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's an interesting thing about labeling, and this is also common to 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 feel this. And the invitation to, so the labeling is really there to keep you very accountable over time also. Like, so I could say, okay, drop the labeling and just soak into experiences moment by moment. But it's very likely that it's very easy to go and quickly go away and get lost. And so labeling kind of keeps you quite accountable to the moment. Am I aware of what's going on? Am I aware? And to really see how light you can make this language and this labeling, like it can really be barely a whisper in the mind, and to give most of the attention to the experience of it. And when you notice it kind of shifting, just to notice that and just to repeatedly bring it back. So the labeling is a tool for us to keep being aware of the moment, and it's not the end in itself. I'm sure you know that. On the soaking part of it, yeah, this is good for me to hear. Thanks. The language is maybe not so accessible. So of course it is a question of practice and how much we practice to be with the direct experience, and it's normal that in the like there is not so much experience of it, then we feel it needs more time to calibrate, to actually bring your attention there, to start to really feel what's going on. And I would say it's something you can play with a little bit, the balance of like how quick you note, how quick you label, and to notice the different quality in that. But I would say don't stay anywhere for more than 4 or 5 seconds. but really see how deep you can experience something in that shorter time frame, and over time it gets more easily. And basically the point of it is because if we start to focus for a very long time on just one thing, it becomes more of a concentration meditation, becomes more a samatha meditation, because we get absorbed by that one object and we don't allow other things or just the nature of the body and mind to continue playing out. And basically the gold standard of the meditation is really to rest and allow everything to be just as it is, and allow the nature of body and mind to continue playing and going, and the thinking happens and hearing and sensation, and it just happens, and there's a non-interfering open awareness to observe everything clearly, without kind of grasping or holding on to anything, without pushing anything away, just this. And yeah, that's what we're doing.
I wanted to just make one other kind of comparison that I keep thinking about since this course started, and all the instructions that come up at certain times while we're meditating. It has that similar feeling to the first handful of times I ever did yoga, and someone's guiding you and they're giving you like, now do this with your hand, giving you all these instructions of how you should be doing something. And it's when you're brand new, it's so much information that you're trying for the first time that it can be it can take, for me, it takes like weeks of practicing it to get it like absorbed into the body, where you can then just do it without so much, wait, now what am I supposed to be doing now? How so I just wanted to toss that out there, that it's just an interesting, for me, and a similar experience of being instructed and given so much information that's new and needs practice, like learning an instrument.
Yes, absolutely. Let me feel that analogy for a moment. I think everything that I say in the meditations is not something that like everything you, of course you don't need to master everything, and all the things I say are more invitations to a certain kind of like way of relating, and a lot of the things I say will not stick at all, especially the first time around, and it's completely okay. And they might stick because they might not stick because like maybe you're not ready, or they might not stick because maybe you're just kind of different and this is not the things that are resonating. But that's why I also say many different things, to try and come at it from many angles, and so you don't have to try and somehow hold and gather all these things that you need to do at the same time. But okay, that thing makes sense. Let me practice in that way. And then also because many people are very different, so I try to like have it more open. And that's why I don't like to say like a rule, like don't eat, don't meditate, but yeah, that's kind of. There's some stuff in the chat. Okay, in one of the walking meditations, you mentioned when a thought arises, stop walking, label and observe, and then continue walking. Can you explain more on this, and when should this be done? Yeah, so something helpful when you're walking is to, when there is a clear distraction there, to stop and focus on it for a moment. To kind of midway in your walking, to pause your labeling, and this really helps to develop the thing of like one thing at a time, and actually gives you the space to momentarily soak into that experience more, and then to let it go. So if we continue walking, then it can kind of become something very yeah, it kind of just continues rolling, and we don't get a chance to develop the like, okay, like stopping and acknowledging it, okay, and then continuing. So some people find it's a useful technique to help them to feel something more freely. Seems like breathing takes quite some practice to be perfect. I can totally relate to Jen. Yeah, so you're nodding a lot while she's speaking. Try to set my mind off from labeling, feels like then drift off to thinking distraction. Yeah, you can raise, lower the volume. Yeah, finding the right balance. Yeah, learning how it is for you over time and what needs in any given moment. And thank you for the words of appreciation. I actually don't remember what is in like any of the individual meditations. It all kind of like flows together. So I'm not sure what was in this morning's meditation.
You, I think you basically said, somebody in the world cares about you. Somebody does. And then you actually went to the group, so it's nice to see everybody, because you said even somehow on some level, the people in the group that are all doing it together, there's some kind of connection there too. So
Mhm.
something like that.
That sounds like some nice words to receive. Good. Is there anything else? Last opportunity for now. Good. If something else comes up, you can always write it also in the chat. And let us close with again, or maybe it has changed, but to again embody how to move forward in your meditations and what kind of attitude you want to bring in the next 5 years to your practice. To sense the energy of the position. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.